At Grove, we have created something that we call bright lines. When it comes to policies and procedures, we really want to have bright lines around what is acceptable with children and what is not acceptable. And so you will find a document attached called Bright Lines. It's a grid that just moves through several different areas with children and lays out for you what is not acceptable and what is acceptable. We like these Bright Lines documents and we take them very seriously because it's helpful for us all as owners to know what is acceptable and what is not. It helps keep us all accountable with each other, to even friendly reminders to each other of, hey, remember the bright line is actually this. When we are talking about boundaries with our children at Grove Kids, I want to be clear that we actually have boundaries because we love our kids. And yes, these boundaries protect us as owners, but more than that, we are actually being able to model for our children what it looks like to have healthy boundaries with someone who is not in your family. You can know that that person loves you by them having healthy and respectful boundaries with you. And so this document helps us clearly understand what those boundaries are so that we can actually put those things into practice. And it's one of the many ways that we can show our children that we love them and know that we're modeling for them something that they can actually carry into other spaces and helps protect them in other spaces, because they start to know the bright lines of what is appropriate behavior and what is not. And we really believe that this is empowerment at its finest. It's one of the greatest things outside of Jesus that we can empower the next generation with. One of the top bright lines that I usually like to lay out for owners is that lap sitting, so a child sitting on your lap, is only allowed for children under the age of 2. It is very common that you will have children far over the age of 2 that will almost just scoot right back into you and sit in your lap without you even saying a word or inviting it. It will happen. A child will sit in your lap at some point in time without invitation. But the best way that we can respond to that is to actually lift them up and set them to the side and say, oh, I want to sit next to you so much. Why don't you sit right here? And to not shame them by saying, you can't sit on my lap, but to actually affirm them that, yes, I want to be next to you. I want to be close to you. I want to experience this moment with you, but I am actually more comfortable if you sit right next to me. You don't need to sit in my lap. And that's the best way that we handle those moments. And children will immediately shrug it off, accept it, and move on and be excited to sit right next to you. Physical contact is another bright line that we often are engaging with as owners. It is not acceptable for us to engage with tickling, piggyback rides, wrestling of any kind. However, we encourage you to teach healthy boundaries in love by doing high fives, starting cheers for each other, fist bumps. All of those things are perfectly acceptable and can equally make someone feel celebrated and loved. And it just creates a much more safe and healthy boundary. It's not uncommon that you will have a moment where you need to pull a child to the side to have a one-on-one conversation with them. Maybe they are acting up a little bit. Maybe you actually have a word that you'd like to share with them. It's not wrong to pull them to the side so that you can have a conversation with them. However, we would ask that conversations never happen without visibility of other adults or behind closed doors. And so if you need to have a conversation with a child, we'd ask that you just pull to the corner of the room to have that conversation, to step away, but to also remain within the healthy boundary of having other adults around.